Hi, and welcome to my channel. Or if you're a returning subscriber, hi again. It's so nice to see you back here for another video. I'm Teslar, and today I'm going to show you how you can make this gorgeous galaxy trinket tray using epoxy resin, holographic foils, glitter, and alcohol ink. I will post all of the materials that I use for this project in the description down below. So if anybody's interested in trying this project themselves, all of that information will be down there for you. And let's just hop into today's project. To save time in this project, I went ahead and pre-mixed 60 milliliters of resin. This tray holds about 150 milliliters of resin, but because I'm using holographic foils, I'll be pouring a small layer of resin first, so I just measured out 60 milliliters. And I roughly just decided where I wanted the holographic foils to go within the tray before getting started on my project. So the first step is going to be to go ahead and cut these foils down as close as I can get them to the image without cutting any of the image off. And with the foils that I'm using, you'll notice that one side is sort of shiny and the other side is black. It's actually a little bit easier to cut the piece with the black side facing you just because it's a little bit easier to see to make sure you're not going over the actual image. And just a quick tip, I did decide to mix my resin first before cutting out my foils, just to give some time for any air bubbles to come to the surface so I can go ahead and pop those with my heat gun before moving on. And I found these foils on Etsy. I'll make sure to link the shop below as well. The next step will be to pour that clear resin into my mold. And so I'm trying to get a nice even layer here with getting some of it around the edges because I don't want it to cause the holographic foils to shift or move around. So you do need a pretty good base. So I think 60 milliliters should be a really good place to start. Next, we'll hit the piece with the heat gun, again to pop any bubbles before we start to place the holographic foils. And for this tray in particular, I also think it's a good idea to use a clean popsicle stick just to go around the sides and the edges of the mold to get some of those bubbles out that are really deep in there, again, so you can easily pop them with your heat gun. And after we have a nice clear layer of resin, we'll go ahead and start to place our holographic foils. And you want the shiny part of the holographic foil, or the part that you want to see in the finished product, to actually face away from you. So I'm making sure that all of the shiny pieces of these holographic foils are facing away from me and I can see the side that's printed with black. And then after another quick hit from the heat gun, we'll go ahead and cover this up and allow it to cure. And it doesn't need to cure completely, but it does need to cure enough to where it's no longer liquidy. So after 5 or 6 hours, we can move on to our next step. And I've mixed up another 100 milliliters of clear resin, and I'm going to go ahead and pour the majority of that into my tray, reserving just about 20 milliliters or so of resin. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of this fine blue glitter to this resin that I have left over in my cup, and I'll set that aside for later. And then after one more quick hit with the heat gun, we'll start layering in our colors. And I'm starting with white. I'm using Pinata Colors alcohol inks. It's their Blanco Blanco. So I'm just laying down a couple of those drops, and then I'm going to use a popsicle stick to sort of break up that white. And then the colors that I'm using today are all by Pinata Colors. They're Baja Blue, Passion Purple, and the Sunshine Yellow. Next, I'm going to go ahead and start layering my colors, and I'm going to do this in kind of color blocks because I don't want the colors to go all the way all over the place. I want them to blend out just a little bit. And between each layer of color, I'm going to go ahead and also add some white alcohol ink on top of those existing drops. And that's because the white ink is a heavier pigment, so it helps push some of those colors to the bottom of our piece, which will be the front. Leave me a comment if you love the way the alcohol ink blooms out and moves. I think it's so cool. And then I'm going to go ahead and add just a small layer of some Pinata Colors alcohol ink in their brass, which is a really pretty gold color. And then just going in one more time to reinforce those color blocks that we made earlier, going in with my purple, my blue, and my yellow. And then I'm going to go ahead and use this Mattia Black by Pinata Colors, and I'm going to pretty aggressively fill in all of that empty space, especially making sure that I'm hitting pretty close to the sides because the resin or the alcohol ink does tend to kind of shrink in towards the center of the mold. And then once we have a nice layer of black, we're gonna go ahead and take that resin that we reserved earlier, the one that we mixed with our blue glitter, and we're gonna go ahead and start to pour that into our mold from a high and small stream. And this is really gonna help to push some of those colors to the top of our mold and make some really cool patterns. And also the glitter will add to the galaxy effect, looking like little distant stars. And then we'll go ahead and cover this piece up and let it cure completely before pulling it out of the mold. Next, let's go ahead and demold this piece and see how it turned out. And let me know in the comments below, do you guys say demold or unmold? And overall, I'm thinking that this piece is really, really beautiful. I love this little star girl vibe to it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish it off using my Deco Color Premium Paint Pen in the color Silver. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this paint pen to get that outside edge there to be a nice silver color to match with the holographic foil that I have in the center of the piece. And then after I filled in this outside edge using my paint pen, I'll go ahead and let that dry for a few moments, and then I will be adding a top coat onto this just to make sure that the paint pen doesn't chip or get damaged during use. And I hope you don't mind the craftception. I was just taking a couple clips for Instagram and Reels. For my top coat, I went ahead and I mixed up 20 milliliters of clear resin, and I'm gonna go ahead and set my piece up on a couple little cups. And you wanna have your piece elevated when you're pouring a top coat because you don't want the resin to spill over the sides or make it stick to the surface that you're working on or give yourself additional work by having to sand down the piece later. So I'm just gonna pour a small amount of resin onto my piece, again, because I just want to top coat the entire piece, meaning I want a nice thin layer of clear resin over the entire piece, but that really won't take too much. And especially with the outside rim, I'm just taking a little bit of that resin from the center of my piece and moving it onto that paint pen. And I'm sure I don't need to tell you this, but make sure you're wearing gloves whenever you're working with resin. You definitely don't want to get this on your skin. And then once I have a nice even layer of clear resin over my entire piece, especially making sure I've got that paint pen hit, I'll go ahead and rub off some of the excess resin right around the sides, and then I'll cover this piece and let it cure completely. So our tray is all finished up. I let that top coat go ahead and cure, and it's looking absolutely stunning. I'll make sure to include some footage of it in the natural light so you can see it a little better. And I will be adding this to my Etsy shop, which is fragilebeings.com. I'll go ahead and link that down below in the description so you guys can check out what I've got up for grabs. It's a great way to support me, my art, and this channel. As always, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing a part of your day with me, especially if you made it all the way to the end of this video. And if you did make it all the way to the end of this video, leave me some sort of space theme emoji in the comments so that I know that it's real. And if you'd like to see some more resin art videos from me, don't forget to subscribe because I do post weekly. And you can also check out some other videos on my channel. I do have an entire resin art playlist. And just one more reminder that if you did like this video, don't forget to give it a like. It not only helps out my channel a whole lot, but it also lets me know that I'm making content that you want to see from me. Oh, also connect with me on Instagram. I just made a new Instagram. It's the same username as it is here, and there you guys can send me some pictures of the projects you're working on, ask me more questions, and just see more of my personal life. So if you're interested in that, I'll have that link down below as well. As always, friends, thank you so much for being here. I really hope that this video inspires you to make something of your own today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!